thanks to everyone joining here today. So I'm Pablo Mercado. As Teresa said, I'm an engineer at TriggerMesh, where we build a layer on top of Knative to do integrations and more stuff. So this is where you can reach me if you want, and that's my. I'm not very social on the internet, but anyway, there you have the links if you want to reach me anytime. So what we are going to talk today is about connecting eventing clusters. So this is going to be divided in 4 short steps. One of them is explain the scenario. Then we will try to solve that scenario by first exposing the broker publicly, then creating a cloud events gateway, and then modifying that cloud events gateway to provide some basic authentication. So first of all is why would someone want to connect multiple Knative instances? So we've had, I think, 3 people at TriggerMesh asking us the question, but we never developed the case. So I'm not sure if at the end of the day someone really wants to do this. But these are the at least the 3 scenarios that I picture that the people could use this for. So if you are migrating your cluster, I don't mean a version, but if you are migrating from one cloud provider to a different one, or your own premises to the cloud, or otherwise in the other direction. Then for dumping events, so if you have a production scenario and then want to test something that you've developed at the staging or testing scenario, so probably you can you might benefit from having communications or a string of events flowing from one environment to the other. And another one would be for geographic distribution. So if you have 2 different eventing clusters and you want to put your load where it should run, or you feel at every moment it should be the place for processing that could be the geographic situation. There are some others, but I think those 3, with those 3, we should be good to go. So this is what we are going to set up today. So I have 2 clusters. So that line that you see there is dividing the 2 clusters. And in one of them, which is the topmost, I refer to that one, I think, by KN1, or the producer of events. And then we have another one at the bottom, which will be the consumer of events. And to produce events, I'm going to use the heartbeat. So I guess people are more familiar with pin source, but with pin source you need to wait 1 minute to get an event. So I decided to use heartbeat. Then heartbeat, I think I'm configuring that for generating events every 10 seconds or 5 seconds, I don't remember. So those events will get into a single broker. And from that broker, for debugging purposes, we will have a trigger and an event display. And then in the other cluster, we will start only with a broker, then a trigger and an event display, just the same for debugging purposes. So if you think that's okay, I think we can set up this environment first. So let me get to my window, and I guess I will need to increase the font like this. So if anyone has problem and I need to increase more the font, please tell me. So I have one of the clusters is a mini cube, so it's running locally. That will be the producer, and the other one will be one that we have at a cloud provider, which should have public addressing. So for this one, the producer, I'm going to first configure. Not this. I'm going to configure config and also get to where I have the manifest. So give me a second. This is 19. Yeah. And for this other one, I'm also going to get there and configure. Oh, by the way. Okay, so as said, the one above is the producer, and as such, I'm going to start doing the setup for that scenario. So let's take a look, but this should be probably familiar for most people. So I'm going to show you what this looks like. So you have that broker. I'm calling that export. I need to create this namespace, by the way. So I'm going to create it as when I go out from here from Beam. This is the heartbeat pod, and as you see here, this is going to be sending data to the broker created above. Then this is the event type that is going to generate. This is the payload, and it is emitting every 10 seconds. And then this here, it's a debugging part. So we will have an event display to see that everything is running properly. And to join the event display with the broker, we will have a trigger here also that is sending no filtering. So all the events are going to get to the event display. So kubectl or K, this should be, oh, one. Yeah. So K create NS KN1, and now K apply -F00, that one, cluster one, and there you go. Now, if I should divide the screen a little bit more, I hope I have room for all this. I should be able to do K logs, KN1. Let's see. User container -F. And there you go. This is what you're seeing there is internal to that first instance. And every 10 seconds, I should be getting, you see this ID that is sequential. So I am expecting to have a ID 5 in 10 seconds. So there you go. Okay, so this one is set up as seen here. So we need to set up this one yet. So let's get to this other cluster. So let me make sure, yeah, it's okay. Node. So in this case, I'm going to show you what is going to be created here. So it's a broker, in this case, called import at a different cluster and a different namespace I need to create, KN2. And then just exactly like in the other cluster, we have this service and we have the trigger, no filter, getting all the events to be shown for testing purposes. So let me apply that, -F0002. Oh, I said that create as KN2. Okay, now yeah. And also I'm going to do the same. So I'm not expecting at this moment any event here, but just to make sure. By the way, there seems oh, okay. I need to also do the export, that one, and then K logs -N, KN2, and there you go, user container -F, and this should be empty. So there are no events going here. This is expected so far. So let's get to the first the first solution. So there's a solution I'm not commenting here. Obviously, this broker is Kafka, is NATS, is RabbitMQ. So you could forget about Knative and do that under the hood, but this is not a solution I'm showing here anyhow, because that's not part of what Knative tries to abstract. But anyway, I violate that same way of thinking, because the first thing we are going to do is to expose. Here you see at the second cluster, the consuming cluster, we are going to expose this publicly. And then when we do that, there will be an endpoint that we can configure at a trigger at the producer cluster and connect both of them. So probably this is not the best solution ever, but this works. Has some caveats, but it works. So let's get to that. So we said that first at this cluster down here, this is the second cluster, we are going to expose the broker. So right now, I can do this, get brokers -n kn2. So you see, this is the address that we will need to find a public endpoint for this. So since we are using Istio here, we're going to create a virtual service. So let me show you how that looks like. So I think this is number 1, yeah, and this should be 01. So the virtual service is using the Knative gateways. You can see them here. This is the host that I want to be provisioned. So not to be provisioned, to be exposed. So this domain is already configured at Knative. So if this is successful, any of you, wherever you are, you'll be able to contact this endpoint and send their cloud event, if you will. So then internally, where is this going to go? So I want to redirect everything getting in there. I want it to be sent to this address, which was the one that we saw before, but it's lacking the path. So we are rewriting the path here. Probably you know that the brokers are, we're using the multi-tenant broker. So I didn't mention that. We're using the multi-tenant in-memory broker. So this is the global address for all of them. And then this is the way to do the routing. So with this, I should be able to expose the broker. So let's try that. K-apply -n kn2, and this is 0 -f. By the way, this is already part of the manifest. 01 blah blah blah. Okay, so the virtual service was created. I think we can test it now to see if at least this is working. So I have this already written somewhere to save some time, but we can go through this quickly. So you see here that I'm using plain curl with a V to see if there's some issue. This is the address I was configuring at the virtual gateway. And then this is a plain, simple cloud event. So if this is right, I should be seeing here, this is cluster 2, and this is, I could be doing this from any shell. Oh, I don't know what I did. Yeah. So if this is working, I should be watching here the hello broker message. So let's get to that, and there you go. So at this moment, what we have is this scenario. Not a trigger yet, but this is being exposed. So any one of you getting to this endpoint will be able to send events here. So let's get to the other part at the first cluster. which could be configuring the trigger. So to configure the trigger, that's super easy. We just need to use also the same address here at the trigger at this cluster. So let me show it to you. So this is 0. Oh, wow. Sorry. Projects. So K apply -F 0.1 and 0.2 if I'm not wrong. Oh, no. First, I want to look at it so that you can see the contents. So these are the contents, so super easy. I'm filtering here because later we are going to send a different type of message. But this is a message being produced by the event display. And the subscriber, usually you will see this as a reference to an object in Knative. But you can also use an URI. So this is what I'm using here, since this is an external endpoint and cannot be resolved as an object. So let me apply that. So, okay, apply -F is there. And look, so this is what is being read at cluster 1. You see, 55 was the last one, 56 now, and this is cluster 2. So yeah, right now we have both clusters connected. Might be not everybody's cup of tea, but you know, it's super easy to connect two of them doing this. So let's see why some people, including me, might not like this. So the broker is an internal object, and while it can grow in the future to provide some other capabilities, I feel like adding all those capabilities of being an internet-facing or public-facing object is probably too much, and I feel a bit more comfortable having the broker do what it does best, and having some other gateway component for managing, maybe validating and doing filtering and so on, whatever is needed, authentication and so on. So, and the other one is that the virtual gateway is specific to the mesh. So I'm also not comfortable using that. So if you use, I don't know, Courier, this will look different probably. There might be other solutions, like I have in research using, for example, services of type external services. But anyway, all those seems to be like tricks and not proper solutions. So let's get to the next way of doing things. Let's try to build a cloud events gateway. So in this case, that could be something that is aware of its task. So that's something we created some time ago at TriggerMesh. We created a component called webhook source, which is a component, a source, that is listening to HTTP requests and converting them to cloud events. And I think that one is great because that allows us to integrate with so many SaaS out there. But then if you have someone that already produces cloud events, the webhook source was needed to provide a fixed and a static type. All the attributes were static. Well, in this case, you just want to consume cloud events. This is way more simpler. So let's get to configure this. I think we can leave the, well, let's see. Let's create that gateway first. So the gateway is going to be placed in the second, in the consumer cluster. So I'm going to, I don't know if you want to see the spec, but since I talk too much and this might get a bit long, I'm going to show you the object right now, which is laughable at the first view. But and then later, I think I will take you through the capabilities of this component. So yeah, this is on cluster 2, the Cloud Events Gateway. Let's look how it looks. So that is stupid. So you see, we are creating this Cloud Event source, and that it just has a sink. So it resembles a little bit the virtual gateway that we saw for Istio. But this is a pod, a dedicated pod in this case. So let's do something. Let's create it. So K apply -F this one. Let me make sure. Yeah, I'm in the second cluster. Okay, so it has been created. I think I could test it, but before that, let's do a get cloud event sources, KN2. You see it is ready, and then you also see the URL. It is exposing to the internet. So I am now ready to execute almost the same curl command as before, but this time I'm going to change the URL. I'm going also to change the message. Hello, broker. Using cloud event source. So there it goes, 202. And where is it? Oh, I don't know if the component went down, and then we'll come up. Oh. So a bit of patience, please. They get pod -N KN2. Should be there. I'm going to send it again just in case. Yeah, it's there. Probably it's I needed to scroll or something like that. But you see here that we are receiving events through the cloud events source. So we will need to modify the trigger or create a new trigger, probably. I don't know. So we will need to, I guess, modify the trigger to use this new endpoint. So let me do that. First of all, I'm going to delete the previous trigger. And I guess I'm also going to delete the virtual service to make sure that we are not using the previous scenario. So here we have the 02. Suppose, yeah, the cluster out, I'm going to delete that one, the trigger. And then here I'm going to delete the virtual service. Okay, delete -F 01, yeah, that virtual service. So now if I send something here, sorry. Yeah, it should still come here, but you see that this number will increase and it is not appearing here. So I will need to honor this. I will need to create this trigger using this URL. So I'm going to show it to you. Beam 02 gateway. This is the second step. And you see that it's super similar to the previous one, just changing the URL to use the cloud event source. So let's apply that one. Okay, apply -F 02 blah blah blah. And at some point, yeah, you see now that the events are flowing there. So now we have this complete. So we have the virtual service way of doing things, and we also have the cloud events source or cloud events gateway. So still, there's something that probably is bothering some people. Is that this is totally open to the internet. So anyone here that knows the URL, although this is SSL protected, anyone could contact it. So, so probably basic authentication is not the best around, but it is at least something. So, and this is the only authentication we have so far at the Cloud Events source. So that is what we are going to create now. But this is a super recent addition to the TriggerMesh stack, and will grow for sure in the following months. So let's see if we can add that authentication. We could be adding some parameters in here in the Cloud Event source. So we are going to do that. Let me again show you at this cluster 2 how that could look like. So the Cloud Event source accepts a range of credentials. I'll get you, well, I'm going to tell you why. So if you, usually you would expect a single set of credentials, but we thought that maybe if you were going to generate new credentials, you could need to do that with some hot swap, and probably you don't want to change overnight. So this accepts a range of credentials for basic authentication. It is referencing a secret. So we will need to create the secret, the Kubernetes secret. And this is not needed, but it's also a path to where it could be listening to those cloud events. And this is just the same as before. This is sending that to the broker. And the missing part is the secret. So the secret in this case is called password1, and the contents is PW1. So that contains all that we need. So let me apply that. That could be k apply -f. There you go. So this should be updating the cloud event source. So there's a side effect when the new pod gets up, the pod for these cloud events components. There will be a side effect. Is that there's a trigger here at the first cluster, and that trigger is sending the cloud events, but has no support for authentication, and also no support for the path. So what I'm expecting there is this. This is going to start failing. Okay, but that's it. At some point, you see this here, and this will grow while this one will get stuck. But we still have Carl. We can use Carl to test this environment for now. So I'm going to launch the same request I was sending before. So you see that this is using. Oh, sorry, no, sorry. I totally confused people probably because I created a second cloud event source. So let me confirm that. I didn't remember that. kubectl get cloud event sources, kn2. Oh yeah, there are 2 of them. So the first one is not going to fail, sorry. But anyway, this one is pointing, if you see here, to gateway auth 2, kn2, sorry. So this is the second that we created 100 seconds ago. So let's try to use it using curl. And let me show you this. So I'm getting unauthorized 401 here. Okay, so probably most of you know what we need to do, which is up here, -user1 PW1, I think. Okay, so no longer a 401, but a 404. And that's because we were using a path, I think that was called my path. So let's try that. Yep, very good, Brent. So let's see, hello broker secure. There you go. It is receiving it. It is receiving the events. So we now have a protected endpoint that, or protected. It's using SSL and it's using basic authentication. I don't know if you call that protected. That is better than fully open. So, but we have a problem. The problem is that we cannot use it from here. So we are going to introduce also a component that is a work in progress, but you know, I hope it is we publish this very soon, which is the cloud events target. So that component will read cloud events, will receive cloud events. We call targets what people usually call sinks. So this is a sink at the end of the day. It will receive cloud events, and those cloud events will be forwarded to whatever URL you configure in there. In the way it supports everything that the cloud event source supports, so basic authentication and path. So let's get to that. So this should be happening at cluster number 1. And we are going to produce a different set of events, because this one is sending, I want to share this message to the world. So we are going to create another instance of the, this is not needed, but you know, this is the demo I created. So we are going to create a second instance of the heartbeats, but this time sending a different message and a different event type. So let me check. 03. Okay, so you see here, this is the super close to the heartbeats we created in the first step when we set up the environment. But in this case, there are a couple of differences. One of them is the event type is different. So the filterings we have already in place won't pick these events. And then I want to share this message with authenticated people so that we make sure that we are receiving the proper message. So this is going to be produced at cluster 1, along with the other messages from the other heartbeat. Then we will have the same secret, obviously. We need the same password for the secret to use at the cloud events target. And the cloud events target is a counterpart for the cloud events source. And this one will be configured an endpoint. So just like the same endpoint we've been using with Carl. So you can notice that this endpoint contains the path. So it's not that we explicitly support that, but there it is. You have the path there. Then you also have the credentials here. So same username and then a password that is going to be read from the secret we create above. And finally, a trigger that is going to link the events flowing through that broker, the export broker here, which are of type secure message, to the cloud events target. So that could be it. I'm going to apply it. And at this moment, we should have this full configuration. And as soon as those components are up and running, here I should be seeing not only I want to share this message. Hey, you saw that here is also speeding, but this is local to the KN1 cluster. I want to share this message with authenticated people. And at some point, I'm expecting those messages to get here. So to the world. Yeah. So here it is. You can see those messages are getting here. So at this moment, we have these two different clusters sending cloud events one to the other in an authenticated way. And before the questions, I also wanted to tell you, because some of the sources and things that you see around it, they might not use secrets directly, but they get secrets provided through environment variables. So we opted for this pattern because we are mounting the secrets and setting a file watcher on them. So the net result is that if you update the secret, you will get it updated in your component. So that was a problem for, I don't know, if you configure some sources that do not follow this pattern and you change a secret, we don't have yet a watcher on secrets there, and you will need to tear down the component and bring it back. In this case, no. To be honest, it takes like sometimes even 30 seconds, but usually 10 seconds when you change a secret to see that reflected. But these ones, if you change a secret, you won't need to do anything else. The changes will eventually be applied. And this is all I had for you. So this is the TriggerMesh repo. And also at my personal GitHub, there are the demo manifest, but I'm working on README last minute and even post last minute. I'm working on a README that I'll upload sometime today. So thanks a lot for joining me in this session.